Do you see a better process that could be implemented to assume that the Commonwealth would want to work in collaboration with those being regulated rather than in an adversarial posture? I've been surprised since I've been in office. There's probably 4 or 5 bills that I've sponsored to fix regulatory misunderstandings that are creating tremendous cost burden to everyone, probably increasing your workload substantially. Is there a better way to do this? It seems like the process is broken.
Personal opinion, and my personal opinion only, is I go back to I don't know if it was Plato or who said you can't legislate morality. We're not dealing with morality, but I don't know what else we can do with the process, and I will also defer to others whose opinion may differ. Our statute is designed and specifically says that it is an attempt to consensus build. And we consistently urge both the agencies and the commentators to work together to try and develop something that everybody can sign off on. Having said that, I don't know what else can be put into law that would require a better working relationship in terms of what you're asking. That's my personal view. I'm not speaking for anyone else. I don't know if anybody else.
Go ahead, Leslie.
My view is, and I've been with the commission for 12 years, and just watching the process from proposed to final, I think with in the vast majority of cases, the process works well. We see that most of the agencies do spend a lot of time working with the regulated community. So when we get to the final stage and we get to our public meeting, we do have commentators come up to say they appreciate the outreach from the department. You know, they did have some concerns, but they worked it out with the department and they're satisfied. We see that more often than not. Some regulations and some agencies, by the nature of what they do, tend to generate more controversy and more issues with the regulated community, and I think that's where you see more of the problems. But overall, we found that the process does work, and the agencies do spend a lot of time working with their regulated community. And again, some of the issues that you probably see is probably by the nature of the industry or the nature of the department's mission, it will generate a lot more concerns and controversy.
Well, I'll give you an example. There was a 1099 miscellaneous that got added to the tax code in the Rules Committee, got approved, and the Department of Revenue is now doing it. And there was no advance notice to the CPA profession. And the entire profession right now is in an absolute tailspin trying to comply with it. It requires massive software changes. We have no idea of the estimate of the magnitude of the cost and the retaliatory actions from other states. And I realize that's not an IRC issue, but it'll eventually come back to you. But there's got to be some way that we can, such as when you're discussing changes and comments that people are making on regulations, that can be highlighted rather than buried so that people are at least aware that this change and this type of requirement is going to come to pass. We've already gotten information from the governor's office in Maryland that there may be retaliatory action from another state relative to the reciprocity agreement. So I'm trying to see how we can develop a system in place to where the regulated community and those trying to benefit the Commonwealth and meet the financial burdens and obligations can work in concert. It sounds like that's what you're trying to do. But when I heard the comment about the comment being the ability to be buried, what I would do in a bankruptcy court when I do that type of work is we would track changes. The judge would require us to redline it or highlight it so that it would be pinpointed, and everyone would have an opportunity to review it. And then a proactive every time a comment would go out, it would be proactively sent to those stakeholders so they can at least see that that's out there, rather than the surprise effect of, hey, best of luck, a new regulation has just put into effect. And I'm just curious if there's, and I'm looking at it from a legislative process as well, a rules committee rule that gets put in without an open debate in a committee meeting is making your job that much more difficult. And I'm trying to find, is there a better way to do this?
From a regulatory process, if we were to see something like this, and we have commented on something like that before, where and one of our criteria for review is reasonableness and implementation procedures, and if we find that an agency is imposing what appears to be an unreasonable requirement, for example. How can a business comply with this in 30 days? They didn't, they're going to have to adjust their whole business to address that. That's something that we will address with the agency.
You will.
Yes, that's part of our criteria for review, and we have commented on issues such as those in the past.
It does. Thank you.
Representative Ryan, if there's a particular issue or subject matter that you're interested in, obviously CPA or possibly Department of Revenue, you could go to our website and sign up for an alert. So whenever the Department of Revenue issues a regulation or whenever the CPA board starts a new regulation, you'll get a notice right to your email.
Do you think the average business person's aware of that?
Try.
We try.
No, I'm not putting that onus on you. No, I apologize. I didn't mean to imply that.
No.
But we do, and also when we get a regulation, and the agency is required to publish it, we also conduct outreach at IRC. So we have a database of interested parties, organizations, groups that we do, send a blast email out to let them know that regulation has been published. So we try to go the additional mile too. So sometimes organizations will get duplicate notices, but we do try on our end to make sure everyone is aware. And also, if you see that type of regulation come through, please send us a comment letter, so make sure that it's flagged.
Okay.
Of course, a comment from the committee will be helpful, but legislative comments are always helpful as well. So if you do see that, please let us know.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, and if I can just add, we urge, at the beginning of every session, we urge the four caucuses for the websites of members to provide a link to our website so that your constituents are able to track regulations if, there's something that they're interested in or you're interested in.
Yes.
And if I might add, sadly, in a lot of cases, we start with an adversarial relationship because an agency wants to institute regulations that the regulated community doesn't like or is just an additional burden in their mind. So IRC, in some respects, acts as a middleman to try to soften that and to make everybody aware of what the concerns are on each side to try to get that accomplished. I, too, am a CPA, and I understand the issue that you're talking about. In that particular case, the PICPA was notified early on of this through the database that Leslie referred to. I also had some discussions with Peter and a couple others about it. So there is outreach to groups that are affected by particular ones to try to make sure they're aware of that.
In that particular case, I'm a lecturer and a senior fellow with the AICPA. What happened there was it came up at the last minute. It was a rules adjustment to a bill. Few people in the legislature deal with 1099s, and it wasn't as significant could be. So it got passed, became law, and now we're dealing with the after effects.
Right. Yep.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your testimony. Mr. Chairman, thank you.